Well, I am still waiting for both Lisa and Karen, but it is past 7, so I figured I should at least get started. Kyle? Nope. And I should meet myself over there so that I can actually see comments, but you guys don't end up with feedback of things I already said. I talked to Lisa earlier. I know she was still planning on being here as of this afternoon. So I guess she's probably just running late. But I am deep into my crafting already. Which I will probably re-explain once Karen and Lisa get here, if they don't get here by the time I start saying this, but I'm trying to prolong it as much as I can, if you can't tell. But I am working on the teacher gifts, thank you gifts for the teachers at my boys' school. They go to a small private school, which kind of results in, oh, we have a Lisa.
Hello.
There she is.
I'm here.
I was just, babbling at anybody who may potentially be watching, because I was just sitting here all by my lonesome.
Sorry, Wiggles had to go out just close to, book club.
Oh, of course he did. I was debating which way to do these earrings.
Huh?
I was going to ask you about them, and then as I was going over in my brain how to describe the options, going over in my brain how I would describe them, solidified which way I wanted to do it.
There you go. Glad you were asking me, helped you make up your mind.
You're always helpful, whether you're there to be helpful or not. But I'm working on the thank you gifts for the teachers at the boys' school.
That's right, because this is their last week.
Yes. Actually, tomorrow is their last day at their current building, because they go elsewhere for their final day. They do like a field day and then a closing program, and it's too small for all of the parents and grandparents who come for the closing program at their little private school. But it's like really their last day at that little building, because the school is going to be moving next year because they've outgrown the space.
Wow.
So, hi, welcome. So
I unfortunately have no voice.
So you can craft and show us the pretties, and we'll talk about stuff. Maybe like text us stuff you want to say and we'll share it or something. Because I don't want you making your voice worse.
I've got nothing. I tried to call Harry earlier, and what came out was like, hey, nothing. I've got nothing.
She's still trying to talk. Even after I
talk.
said that, she's still trying to talk.
Oh, she will talk anyway.
I know she will. So I was just saying I'm working on the, see if I can angle this light in such a way that I'm not completely washed out, but you can actually see the jewelry I'm holding up, maybe, possibly.
Ooh.
So this is still not really coming through the screen very well, but this is
Looks like
the
a flower.
azalea
Hmm.
necklace, and I'm working on the earrings right now, which will be the post hanging down like that, and then some beads hanging from chains. And then I'll be working on the sunflower one next,
That's
which is
pretty.
my absolute favorite of all of the pendants that I've made. They're all made out of polymer clay.
She was telling me about the sunflower yesterday.
It's the only one I took a picture of because it's my absolute favorite. And then I have a morning glory set that I'm doing. And studded earring daisy set,
Ooh.
which will be the easiest. So I'm not as concerned about that, but I'm trying to not wash myself out with this, but I have to be able to see what I'm doing. So it's not quite the soft glow on Caroline's face that I usually try to have the lamp, because I need it on what I'm doing today. So sorry
I
about that.
have horrible lights for camera angles, so I gave up a while ago.
What? Oh, I'm just sitting here like, where did I just put that bead that I just put on a thing? I found it.
I am working on making they don't look like it, but my roses for my crocheted roses. I'm making red, white, and blue ones for bouquets for 4th of July, not Valentine's Day.
Same
and
thing.
I want them ready for this.
It's the
for the-
Valentine's for our nation.
That's right. I want them ready for this weekend's Makers Market. So
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm going to be making some beaded earrings
Cool.
out of my new beads. Because I got some blue beads.
Nice. Nice.
some long chapters today, I feel.
Like 50 pages.
I liked them though.
I enjoyed them, but definitely some long chapters. Very information filled.
I really need sharper wire cutters. So the first one, the domestic whatever it was called.
Experiences, I think. I don't know.
I'm just like domestic situations.
Encounters.
Encounters, there we go.
Domestic situations.
I liked a lot about that because it really did explain a lot of like what it's like to be newly married and newly living with someone.
Yeah.
Like you have a set of expectations and how things are gonna go, and obviously they don't go to plan.
Yeah.
Growing pains.
Yeah.
Growing pains.
I very much identified with the and I'm just going to help my spouse understand what they did wrong and why they weren't being the proper spouse that they were supposed to be, and both of them trying to do that. My husband and I have had that, not recently, but especially toward the beginning of our marriage. We had that issue once or twice. Even like we consciously tried to avoid it and still still ran into it a couple times of like, but you're supposed to be like this to me, my husband, but you're supposed to be like this to me, my wife.
Me and Paul, we didn't have much expectation about living together. We were just kind of like thrown together, and it's more recent that we've had the, I think our relationship kind of needs to change a little bit. So,
Well, I've always lived with family and never with a partner or spouse, obviously. Uh,
But you still
so,
recognized it.
yeah, well, I mean, it's not the same, but when I moved in with my grandmother 14 years ago, um,
growing pains.
there were a lot of growing pains. Just, what she expected from me, what I expected from her, how things were gonna go.
Yep.
It was a definitely bumpy road
Yep.
because she went from having her own place with her own rules to it being my place with shared rules.
Yep.
Big difference.
Absolutely.
And me having my first place trying to set my own rules.
Yeah. And establishing those boundaries with somebody who's used to being the one who's allowed to be in charge instead of having to share charge
Yeah,
is always hard.
yeah. So
Which I think is also probably part of it with Megan and John, because he's been he's been a tutor, he's been out in the world while she's been still at home, and they've got that sense of partnership, not necessarily to the same degree that we would expect today, because it certainly wasn't expected at the time. But they've got maybe more of a sense of partnership than many couples of the day would have. And they, Meg's used to being the oldest who kind of bosses around her younger siblings a lot. Even though Joe's the really bossy one, Meg's still the oldest and the one who was left in charge more often than things. And even though John was not really in charge per se, but he was a tutor, so he did have a charge that he was taking care of regularly. And I think that some of the things they bumped up against, especially with the their expectations of how they wanted to take care of each other, and then of how they each reacted with the jellies in particular, I think I could see a lot of those expectations being related to how they're each used to being kind of more in charge than in the kind of partnership that they're in now.
I did notice with Meg, like they brought that she did still want more than her station. She wanted the same things as her friend still, and she struggled, and she fought it off for a while, and then she started to cave and buy little trinkets, and what's a trinket here or a trinket there, and then there came the lace, the silk, sorry, not the lace, the silk,
Right.
$50.
$50.
And even nowadays, $50 on silk is
I'm not spending $50 on fabric now.
No.
25 yards of silk? The heck kind of dress was she making?
Several, hopefully.
I could make a gown in the style of what they wore at the time, and I don't need 25 yards for it.
For my size, maybe 10 yards, maybe for my size. But
Like-
yeah, it was a lot. But what I did appreciate was how grown up Meg was about it. Like he was gonna go into the money and he was gonna be shocked that it was empty. So she said, wait, check my book out. And even though he tried to play fun about it, she's like, you need to see what I spent money on.
Yeah.
She was very upfront, and even though she was ashamed, she was like, I spent our money on frivolous things.
And she very much recognized that, like, it's going to be worse if I don't acknowledge it. And he discovers it because he's going to. It's not like it's something she could just hide.
Right. So, did she sell her fabric to Susie?
To Sally?
To Sally?
Yes. And then use the money from it to get the
To buy his
overcoat.
coat.
And then called the overcoat her silk dress. And I love that so much.
I thought it was so cute.
What do you think of my new silk dress? They're adorable. They really are.
Yeah.
All right. Chain.
Because I'm pretty sure he probably needed the coat more than she needed a silk dress.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna guess.
I no guessing involved. There's no way that she needed a silk dress more than he needed a coat. And that's the thing, even though she knew that it was frivolous, but I don't think it really hit her just how much. Like, she knew that she had hurt him. She knew that she shouldn't have spent the money, but I don't think that the reality of it fully hit her until he made the sacrifice of canceling his order for his coat.
Yeah.
I think that's when she was like, oh my gosh, this is like, he's not getting something he actually needs because I frivolously spent money on something just for the sake of keeping up with Sally, when I really don't need to be doing that. And I made a vow to John, several, and I need to keep them. Okay, I do have one question on the pattern of this. So, see on the necklace, I have the beads go from bigger to smaller at the bottom. So on the earrings, I'm going to have 3 chains hanging down that'll each have a bead on them. The chains are going to be different lengths. Should that go with like big bead, medium bead, little bead, or little bead, medium bead, big bead?
Big on bottom, I think.
What?
The big one on the bottom, I think.
Okay, that's kind of what I was leaning toward, but I didn't know if I should go the opposite way just because that's the way that I have it on the necklace.
I think having it reversed on the earrings would look better aesthetically for the earring.
Okay.
So having it big on bottom.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think that will fit through that link.
I don't know why I started with the white one out of the red, white, and blue. I just started with the whites. And I'm trying to make 10 of each one.
Because you want to torture yourself?
I guess I want to get the blandest color out of the way first, I guess.
Because you want to be unpredictable? Because you
Maybe.
want to go about it willy-nilly? I don't know who Willy and Nilly are.
Neither do I.
I got this color called mint green cyan or Cyan. And then I recently bought one called mint pearline glacier B. And there's like a very little difference of color in between the two of them.
They're close.
Yeah, they're very similar color. One is just slightly more blue. They're very similar colors. Oh, they look so different on the camera.
They look very different on the camera.
They look so different on the camera. Oh, they do not look that different in real life.
I can't count that when I'm dropping it. Trying to count how many links I actually had on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. First one's 20 links.
That's funny.
What?
Has nothing to do with the book, but I just remembered something that I told Caroline on lunch that I forgot to tell Karen today.
Well, tell me later.
Something
I'll
to
tell
save
you
for
later,
after
but
we're
I
streaming.
I just remembered that. I was like, I gotta tell Karen, I gotta tell her something because otherwise I'll forget. And it was funny.
Is there anything else about the domestic stuff?
Oh, you said the very end, like a year later, and Meg is now the proud mother of twins.
Yeah.
I like how they announced that she was a mother too, like the whole, like the greatest gift that how did they say that? Because they didn't come right out and say that she was a mother, until they mentioned.
I don't remember the precise wording.
It was so I liked the way they
It's
worded
cute,
it.
but I don't remember what it was.
I can't remember it. Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Don't forget them.
The one with no voice is gonna say it.
Right.
Yep.
It worked very well.
I'm trying to find it.
It's the end of chapter 28.
Yeah, I'm looking. They're talking about the babies.
Before they talk about the babies.
I know. Okay, so the year rolled around. Meg came to experience Meg's. Okay, so the year rolled around, and at midsummer, there came to Meg a new experience, the deepest in tenderness of a woman's life. And then Lori comes in and says, "How's the little ma? Where's everybody? Why didn't you tell me before I came home?" So he calls her the little ma.
For those who hadn't guessed that that's what had happened. Laura
Yep.
comes in and states it plainly.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know how hard it is to count these teeny tiny links?
Yep. Ugh. Ugh. Say hello to the little one.
What? Oh.
Hello to the little one.
Color.
He's doing much better.
That's good.
Wiggles is doing much better this week. Wiggles
Good.
had a rough week.
Alright, you go into bed and chill. I'll be with you in a little bit.
That one.
I keep losing count.
Me too. I think I've got it though. Ugh.
All right.
So,
The
chapter
next one
29.
was calls, which apparently Amy had wrangled in Joe to make house calls to those who had been making house calls to them.
Which is hilarious. Like, she forces her to go with her and then hates how she behaves on them. And, like, why are you making her go then?
Because it's proper. It's only right. They visited you, you must visit them.
Then Amy can go. Why does Joe have to? If Joe hates it and Amy hates how Joe acts on it, why does Amy force Joe to go and then make herself and Joe miserable?
You know,
'Cause
I
that's
ask
Amy.
myself that with Karen all the time.
Yeah, needs to go like pulling teeth, man.
No, I love
Actually,
you,
no.
Karen.
Pulling, as somebody who's had teeth pulled, it's easier. It's harder than pulling teeth. Way harder. When people say pulling teeth is hard, it took 5 minutes last year. Which, by the way, the 9th is the year mark since my terrible tooth got taken out.
Pulling
They
teeth
still
is
have
much
them like-
harder when you're doing it, like, you know, without proper medication and tools and such.
Oh, I don't think they
I
even
think
like
that that's what the
medication.
expression is referencing.
When you take a pair of pliers and yank.
That's what the guy did a year ago. He took a pair of pliers and he yanked.
Yeah, but pliers specifically made for the task.
I've had one they had to break apart and then like take out piece by piece.
Yeah.
I had one that basically just fell out. It's just
I've had that happen.
line. And then there's this third one that just yanked it right out.
Yep.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah, so she even makes her dress a certain way, and I'm like, oh goodness. Like, literally looks her up and down, make sure she's buttoned correctly. Everything has to match. I'm like, wow, Amy. It was a bit much. And then the first house, she tells her not to say anything. So Joe literally doesn't say anything. And she gets mad.
I swear the whole thing reads like a conversation between a neurotypical and a neurodivergent.
And then she's like, you need to have fun, be gossipy with this one. So she is fun and she's gossipy. And she tells all these wonderful stories about Amy that are true.
And Amy's like,
"How
why did
dare
you do that?
You are embarrassing me."
I'm not even kidding. Like, it really just reads like the word manual is coming to mind, but it's not a manual. It's like a case study. That's what I'm trying to say. It just reads like a case study in communication between a neurotypical and a neurodivergent, or a neurotypical trying to teach a neurodivergent about social expectations. And not that I think that Joe necessarily is neurodivergent, but the whole chapter definitely is like a whole case study in a neurotypical and trying to teach a neurodivergent social expectations. I'm just like, I was getting mad. I'm like, Amy, if you wanted her to say stuff, why did you tell her not to say? You literally told her not to say stuff. This is why I hate trying to figure out social expectations.
Yeah. And then the third house, I guess I went to see were the tutors, which made me realize that's why they always call him Tutor. Like, you know how they're talking about Lori's friend Tutor, and you're like, why do they just call him Tutor? I think
Oh,
Karen
you
said
didn't
that.
realize that was his last name?
I did not. I'm like, what? I just seriously thought that he was just an insignificant character, and that's why they called him Tutor. Like literally, I thought he was an insignificant character. He didn't even
I mean,
deserve a
he's
name.
not really a significant character so far, at any rate.
So then they're talking about him, and it didn't surprise me one bit that Joe was like, I don't want to be nice to him because Joe
He's a
says he's because Teddy says he's fast.
He's a jerk.
He's
a
like
player.
a player. Thank you. Yes, he's like a player.
He's a player, and he expects everybody to fawn all over him for the very reason that Amy does treat him exactly like that. And Joe has no intentions of that. And Amy is absolutely correct that, especially when you're poor and being kind in response to the kindness that has been shown to you is all you have to give, you ought to give it. Joe is equally correct that you can't teach a guy that girls aren't impressed by them being jerks if you continue to reward them for it.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I took
it's
from
not
that.
like she was really rude to Tutor. Sorry, I was counting in my head. It's not like she was really rude to Tutor. She just wasn't charming to Tutor.
Not charming Tutor. How very dare she?
So I mean, it's not like she was outright rude to him. I do think that as the day got on, that Joe was kind of done with it and did get a little snippy. But both the 4th and 5th place they were going, I guess people weren't home. Because, right? Do I have that right?
I thought there was just one place that people weren't home, and then they went to Aunt March. Were there
Who was
two?
the 4th? I'm missing one.
Were there two?
I think there was 2 because at the 5th one they said that the girls were engaged. That I remember specifically.
Okay.
So they were busy. They were preoccupied.
Okay. So people weren't home in one place and were busy in another place. I must have missed that part.
And so then the last place and final place is Miss March, which of course Joe doesn't want to go see Aunt March.
And Amy would love to see him.
Right? Why do we gotta go see her? Because it's nice to make a social call. I don't wanna.
But Joe does realize that Amy's right in that.
And she goes.
I could just see Joe's social battery just like draining, and I'm like, girl, I am right there with you.
Right.
Well done. Joe did make a really huge faux pas though. Because when she got to Aunt March's, she treated Aunt March like it was a normal hangout visit. But Aunt Carol was there. Now, I'm not sure if Aunt Carol's a real aunt or if that's just a respectable term.
I think Aunt March is their great aunt, and Aunt Carol is their aunt.
Okay. But she still should have been more respectful because it doesn't sound like they spent a lot of time with Aunt Carol. And she was just very frank and straight out. And like, even when I see family members I don't talk to a lot, I have a different persona than, say, my immediate family.
Right.
Like, there's a difference. And I think Joe just went to her default normal, how she is around Aunt March on a normal day.
Right.
And
And Aunt March doesn't really love how Joe is on those days.
right. So I think that was a huge issue on Joe's part. Is she treated it like a normal visit at Aunt March's, despite the fact that someone else was there.
And that it was supposed to be a social call, not a family visit per se.
Right.
But at the same time, again, social battery, I get it. She did not have the ability to deal with people
Oh yeah.
different than normal manner. She
No,
was like, I'm done being prim and proper. I'm just gonna be me right now.
Right. No, I absolutely understand it. But I also know that from Aunt March's prim and proper perspective, it didn't fly.
Ooh.
They stopped moving.
Oh,
Like,
see, so that's perfect. So the balls are going into the earring, smallest to biggest, just like it does on the necklace.
now
Yeah,
I
it
have-
worked.
I like that. The biggest one is touching the flower. I like it.
I like that a lot. All right, gotta actually start making these earrings, otherwise they're never gonna get done. I've been
I know, I'm
prepping
on my
this
fourth
whole
rose.
thing.
Where are you?
I just started. I finished getting all the prep work done. No, I'm just
I have to count for a minute so you guys talk.
Anyway, I had 2 done before the live, Karen. I had the third one half done by the time we started the live. So don't even worry about me. So yeah, so this is the part where I kind of got distracted by my dog who was needing attention. Because I procrastinate to last minute.
But none of us do that.
But so she's talking to Aunt Carol and Aunt March, and they're just talking. I can't remember what it just everything they're saying Joe decides to be negative about. So she went from not even being social to just being straight out negative, stick in the mud kind of thing.
Well, like, I think she's just being bluntly honest. It's like, do you speak French? Nope, can't keep languages in my brain for anything. Do you do this thing? Nope, terrible at it. Do you do that? Nope. And the thing is, Joe has plenty of talents, but they were asking all about basically like, are you also Amy?
Well, I think they're also trying to prove a point because, like, if she ever has to speak to someone with French, she's gonna have to either ask Amy for a favor or she's gonna have to ask someone else for a favor to translate the French for her. So, without the ability to do all these things that are necessary to survive in situations, she's gonna have to ask for favors. And she's like, I don't want no favors with nobody. I want to be an independent woman. And like as an adult, I'm like, those are 2 very different things. But I think that they were trying to prove to her that, not saying she needs to be like Amy, but that you can't say that you don't want have anything to do with favors, but not advance yourself in a way that you can be completely dependent in those kinds of situations. Independent in those situations.
Which is a very Joe thing, honestly, because she wants to have adventures without any of them ever leaving home, and she wants to see the whole world, but also keep all of her and her sisters without any change ever.
Right. And I'm honest, like I suck at second languages. I really do. So I do rely on things like my phone and other people for other languages because I don't know. Uh, but I don't consider that makes me non-independent, you know?
Well, the phone part wasn't an option at the time, but you know,
Right.
um,
Like she would have to rely on Amy for speaking French. Say she went to a market and she was dealing with someone who only spoke French, she wouldn't be able to barter for pricing if she didn't have Amy with her because she wouldn't know French.
okay, but what are the odds that she would run into that in Connecticut? In Maine in the 1800s, maybe, but Connecticut?
It's a what if scenario. I'm just saying that I don't think that they were trying to say, "Are you Amy?" I think they were trying to say, trying to show points to her where she would need assistance, where she would need someone's help, someone's favor.
Probably. I'm not disagreeing with you. I was listening to it at work and I think I missed chunks of it because I was doing different things.
Like I said, I was dealing with my dog at this point, so I could misunderstand, but
I was my brain is on stuff that I know is coming up also. Not in any way that's like spoilers or anything, but like
I thought you were talking about things coming up in your life. Like,
well, that too. It's just a few more days till my vacation.
right?
Hardly wait. But no, I meant things coming up in the book that I can see foreshadowing of within this conversation. So
Well, they mentioned something about that. They're like Jo would soon realize that she misfortuned herself or something like that with the next conversation or something like that. Like obviously saying that she stuck her foot in her mouth. And Amy is of course ever so much the lady. She's
right.
pleasant, she's sweet. She craves a higher lifestyle than she has. Not unlike Meg, but I think that she's also looking to marry into a higher status as well. I think that that's something on Amy's thought process.
Well, so was Meg until she fell in love with the tutor.
That
A tutor, not tutor.
fell in love with Mr. Brooks.
I'm really wondering where's Beth at this point, because it has been a few chapters since we've really heard about Beth.
Right, because I kind of expected the second chapter to be about Beth because we hadn't recapped on her since the 3-year separation between part 1 and part 2. They have mentioned Beth briefly, but it still feels like she's this weak and fragile side character in her own family story. And that makes me sad because Beth is like my favorite. But yeah, so she sticks her foot in her mouth a few times in the conversation, which kind of abrupts the visit with Aunt Carol and Aunt March. And they go to leave, and Jo is very...
Oh my gosh, we never mentioned how abruptly she left the other visit. Just like in the middle of everybody's sentences.
Right. Bye. Just yeah, just done. Done. Next.
Anyway, sorry, back to this visit.
And she just kind of like gives them all a handshake, which is weird because she's related to these ones. She just gives them a handshake.
Well, they would like offer their hand, expecting her to kiss their hands because it's, you know, social call and they're her elders and all of that.
Right, and she'd shake it instead.
And yeah,
Because she's Joe.
Joe.
And Amy's like, I can't believe she's my sister. I'm not related to her. Nope.
Which is so funny because that is so me and Karen in social situations. I'm just like, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And what does Karen do? Karen acts like Karen. And I'm just like,
And Lisa's like, no, bad Karen.
I
Aw.
physically cringe at times with Karen.
well, I love you both.
Cringe. I'm like, Karen, that's not how you're supposed to act. You're not supposed to say things like that, Karen. I'm like, I cringe.
I cringe a lot, but usually at myself. I didn't have the benefit of dividing into two people first.
Oh, what was I think the most recent time Karen made me cringe was probably when we went to that art night at Anna's.
Oh, you told me about that one. You didn't tell me why. You specifically. You
She
just told
made
me that.
cringe. She knows why.
It's because I may have been talking bad about some people that a lot of people really liked and respected, but I was mostly stating my personal experience and how I didn't like those people because of said personal experiences. And
She was
Lisa
unapologetically Karen.
Lisa was like, you can be
Good.
very negative to people you just met about people that they respect. And I'm like, well,
Well, I have always been a proponent for being unapologetically yourself, so I can only say so much.
Yes, but you can do so with tact. You can do so with tact. This is me and Karen's argument.
I mean, my husband and I have had this conversation a few billion times.
It kind of made like this whole thing with Amy and Joe really made me think about Karen and me when we go out in public. I'm just
It's
like,
very much like my sister and I.
I'm very much like Joe. I'm like, I'm done and I go home now. I don't want to be here. I didn't want to come in the first place. Yeah, I could totally see that as me. Yep. Yep. No.
you're kidding me? We have one more spot? Yes, we do. Keep going.
Keep going.
But yes, Amy is ever so much the socialite with the proper manners.
Yep.
And Joe is very unapologetically Joe.
And then the two aunts have a little conversation after the girls leave.
Something about Rome? No, they were talking about Amy wanting to go to Rome. They said something about sending cash for something. Better do it quickly.
They didn't fully explain. They had a little conversation that hinted towards some things, but was somewhat cryptic.
Right,
it's not
it was
all revealed
very,
yet.
very cryptic.
I was wondering what you think it is, though.
I have no idea. Maybe like, honestly, I was thinking like a socialite thing for Amy. But because she's not really in a position where she can do that sort of thing at home. But it could be something for Joe, like a manners school or something.
Boarding school.
Um,
Driving
but then
school,
again,
so-
Joe is now 20 at this point and probably a little too old for manners school.
Finishing school.
Yeah.
Or obedience school.
The type of school Joe does not want to go to.
Right.
I'm quite certain she does not.
I
If Joe
definitely
was a dog, which kind of dog would she be?
a Beethoven dog. A big Saint Bernard.
I think she'd be something smaller than that, but trying to act like she was that big.
I just think that because those kind of dogs really don't have it's not that they lack the ability for oh well
Needs to think about the fact that they're big, clumsy,
they're not
Ghosts.
clumsy. They just have a lack of awareness for space.
Yeah,
will
that's
sit in
true.
your face, they will sit on your lap, they don't care, they'll be where they want to be when they want to be, and sometimes when they feel like it, they'll make themselves look pretty. Uh,
We
but
used
most
to
of the time
have,
they just do what they want.
I used to live with some friends who had a lab border collie mix,
Oh,
and he was the most hyper, most intelligent dog. And I feel like Joe would have to be like that exact mix because
count intelligence.
like the like he was fully capable of learning anything that you wanted to teach him, but he just didn't care to actually do it. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He figured out, well, he managed to figure out how to open the back gate and kept getting out. And so we had to put a latch on it that he couldn't open, or like a hook thing through the latch so he couldn't nose it open. And he figured out how to
well, the hook.
no, how to climb the chain link. He was ridiculous. And he was my favorite. He was basically my dog that they paid for everything for. He was their dog, but he might as well have been mine as in every way, except, they paid for everything. And he was like, he loved everybody and everything with his whole heart, but had no interest in actually like doing what anybody else wanted. Like, I feel like Joe would basically be that dog.
I would say husky, but all the sass and intelligence.
Okay, I could also see that.
Yeah, I forgot to count intelligence when I said a Saint Bernard, but
Are you calling Saint Bernards unintelligent?
I don't think like they're a smart breed, but I don't think they're like up there on the intelligent list.
Smart, but not the smartest.
Right.
Did I do this backwards? Please tell me I didn't do this backwards. I did that backwards. Hurga-burga-flurga-nargan.
I mean, the smartest dog in competitions, I think, is the Australian Shepherd is the smartest dog a few years
Yep.
ago. She was considered. I think it was a she, but yeah. And so I know that some breeds are considered very, very smart.
Aussie Shepherds and Border Collies are both way up there.
So are poodles. Poodles are way up there in the intelligence.
Shockingly.
I know.
Why? 'Cause they're so vain.
Okay,
I
regular
did not
poodles.
get a smart one.
Regular poodles, I'm fine with. It's the mini ones that.
You know what? If mine wasn't so dumb. I know,
Sorry.
it's one of those-
I will awe over and love your puppies all the time, and I would never ever wish harm on any dog, but ankle biters are not my kind of dog.
Wiggles is not an ankle biter.
Yeah, he's a good foot tall. He can reach
Wiggles,
your kneecap.
That's your poodle. Thanks.
But Harry's a little on the shorter side, being a litter mate to hers. But I also have 2 Chihuahuas, so I'm full about ankle biters.
Yes, you do.
Again, let me reiterate. I will awe over and love your dogs, but as a general breed,
I got the ankle biters. I think it's because they're small, like cats. And I like cats.
I love my kitties. I want
I'm a
my
cat
dog.
person.
I want dogs to be separate from cats. I don't want them to be the same.
See, I like smaller dogs, but not because they're like cats.
I've just had too many small dogs around, been around too many small dogs that were not properly trained and
Oh,
were nippy or all sorts
Mine are
of
not. Mine
all
are
sorts of
scaredy
issues, and more significant dog bites happen from smaller dogs,
cats.
from a
Mhm.
combination of people thinking that they don't need to train them as well, and from people not being as afraid of them, and thus not being as careful with them.
I get that.
And I can't stand the pitch of a lot of the yippy ones. It hurts my ears, like literally painful physically. So that combination just tends to, like, there are individual small dogs that I like, and yours are amongst them because they're yours, and I will care about them because I care about you.
Quick question. We've talked about what kind of dog that Joe would be. What kind of dog would Amy be? And I put up the suggestion of Border Collie because they're cute and they're prim and they're usually very like elegant.
Yes, I agree. Whereas I just did that wrong again.
I would also have to say either a poodle or Aussie Shepherd, because again, Aussie Shepherds are beautiful with their long ears, and they're pretty smart, and they're very gentle for what I've met of Australian Shepherds. Granted, there are exceptions, but
Yeah, I think that Joe would have to be a mutt. Amy would have to be like a purebred.
yeah,
I like Border Collie.
Border Collie is nice. That's
Or
Lassie. Lassie was a Border Collie.
what's like a, I don't know, maybe even like a full size, not mini, but like the bigger poodles.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, regular poodle.
Yeah. I think that Beth would be, I don't know, what's the snuggliest dog?
I was thinking Cocker Spaniel because they are oh so cute and lovable, but they are also considered very gentle and fragile.
Or an Irish setter.
Ooh.
I could see either of those.
What about Meg?
Meg,
He's kind of like a mommy doggy.
Yeah, you're kind of looking at Mama Dogga.
Meg would be, Meg would be the Aussie Shepherd.
Ah, yes.
Meg would be anything that would herd the others.
Yes, you're right. Yes, I agree. They got very big maternal instincts. Yeah.
So we've got an Aussie Shepherd, a mutt, either. Wait, now I forgot what you said. What you had said. I said Irish Setter, and you said
Cocker Spaniel.
Cocker Spaniel. Either Irish Setter or Cocker Spaniel, and Poodle.
/ Border Collie.
Okay. I don't know what I did with this, but I cannot seem to actually fix it correctly no matter what. I think I need to take all of the beads off and put them all back on after all of the chains are empty, because every time I put one back on, it's like I put it back on the wrong one again.
Oh. All right. Well, it is 8 o'clock.
It is 8:02, but that's okay, because that's about when an hour after we actually started.
I know, I was running late. My doggo.
I literally got home, grabbed food, and came in to do the thing because my husband's work schedule changed. So I don't get home until just about 7 o'clock anymore.
So since I'll be back a couple days earlier, we will plan on having Bookcraft next session in 2 weeks, unless I say otherwise. So everybody stay tuned to well, you two obviously have a message, but
Are you gonna want to do that at that time? I mean,
well, because remember last time we were talking about it, we realized that the one after that would be on the 4th.
oh,
Right.
So maybe you might
and I don't want to miss 2 in a row if we can help it.
Right.
But I don't really want to do it on the 4th either.
So it's up in the air.
So we will see. I was really hoping to get more than one set of jewelry done.
Sorry, I got the equivalent of 1 rose done.
I got halfway through a pinwheel.
I would at least be on to the second set if I had managed to actually put these beads on the correct chains.
Oh no.
There. Okay. I think I finally got at least this one set done. All right. So chapters 30 and 31. I'm not even looking at the titles of them right now because I don't have it up. But chapters 30 and 31 for next time, which is June 20th. Technically the last day of spring.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody say bye.
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 Bye.